How you doing today, guys? Today I wanted to show you some of the wood that I milled, and some of this wood I must have milled about 3 years ago when I first got my my Timberjig, and I just used the wooden rail. And then there's some oak in here that I did, I don't remember if it was 1 or 2 years ago, but when I first got my big mill basic, I know there was one log, I screwed the mill to the log, and I milled some red oak. So the purpose of today's video is basically just to kind of show you what happens when boards sit outside for, I don't know, anywhere from 1 to 3 years. I took some of the boards I made that were white pine and made stickers out of them, stacked the boards the same widths together, and then I just covered them with a piece of plywood, just because I didn't really know what else to do with them. I didn't want to leave them in the house because frankly I didn't have room for them. So they've just been sitting here for quite a while. I did put some, on top of that piece of plywood, I did have some rounds that I split because the pieces of wood were getting rotted. So I did have some weight on top of these as well, but let's just check out what we got here. This here is a piece of oak. I wonder if I milled it to the right thickness. Which is just at 1 inch. It looks pretty straight. And it's got the cathedrals, which means it's plain sawn, right? So that could be like a step or something. This is a piece of pine, and I did this one, when I milled this one I was using the skip tooth chain, so it's got a pretty rough finish on it. This one's a little bit bowed up there. I don't know if it's in focus or not, but there's been a mouse having a snack in here. I wonder if we're going to come across a mouse's nest. Alright, so this is more red oak that is not looking too good. So this one, if you take a look at it, it's cupped. So the whole board is cupped, and then it's also, the whole board is like a rainbow. So I'm not sure how usable this one is. And it looks like on this one, you can see over here, it looks like I would have stopped my saw for some reason in the cut. So there's a little bit of a difference in the height. This one looks like it might be kindling. Well, this one's got the pith, so I guess I shouldn't expect much, because the pith is something you really want to cut out. But this one's also cupped. I don't know, they're all kind of cupped, and the whole board is like a rainbow. Another piece of red oak. It's also, I don't know. I don't really know what acceptable tolerances are, but I mean, this stuff is it's all kind of, I say nasty, but I don't know, again, I don't know what rough sawn lumber looks like. But this one as well is cupped. And there's this view. The board's about 1.25 inches, so maybe it could be milled or something. So this here would be ash. Which, holy cow, I mean, you know, I've never dried lumber before, but it's looking pretty wavy. But this is ash, and it's got water stains on it, which is probably not a good sign for you know, lumber you're drying. And this is also the one with the pith. You know, I've learned now you're supposed to try to cut around the pith because the wood is never very stable there. So let's find what looks like a good one. So here's one. So there you go, there's one. This one's not so bad. There's a lot more mouse droppings on this layer. So now we're into some cherry. Farther down the pile. The cherry doesn't look as bad. Seems like it's a pretty stable wood. Maybe because I'm away from the pith. So this one would be the pith, and if there's one thing you learn from this video is when you're doing cutting near the pith, you want to try to, you know, capture the pith or any cracks coming from the pith in one board because it's not very stable. And I think I learned that lesson in this one. There you go. And And then down at the bottom here, these are some oak boards I cut. And maybe because they're at the bottom, there was more weight on them. This would have been with the Big Mill Basic. We got a helicopter, I just gotta wait a minute. So I just got pulled away for a second, guys, and I gotta say, I did get a pretty nice splinter. I think the biggest splinter I ever got. So we're gonna go ahead and put our gloves back on. So I don't know if I did this one or not, but this is red oak, which really is looking pretty good. I don't know. This one is also just at an inch. You know, I kind of wonder if the only tree I did with the Big Mill Basic was this oak tree. And I kind of wonder if my oak boards are a little bit more uniform because the Big Mill Basic is a little bit more uniform with the cut. And I had things more figured out by the Big Mill Basic. But this red oak board, I mean, there's a little bit of cracking from drying, but you could definitely do something with the middle of this board. I'm not seeing the cupping I was getting, and it's looking pretty good. And then here we have red oak, but this one has the pith. I didn't work around the pith. So this is kind of nasty. And again, if you learn one thing is when you're cutting wood, and I've learned this from watching other videos, it's not that it came to me naturally, but when you're cutting wood, look for the little dot in the middle, that's the pith of the tree. And when you're cutting, try to follow the cracks of the pith and try to enclose those in one or two boards in the middle, and those are going to be your junk boards. I don't know what you do with the boards with the pith, but it's softer wood, it's not a good wood, so just try to, if there was a crack on this board this way, it would be better, and then you would just follow that crack and enclose it. This one is just outside the pith, but I do have cracks across it. This one's probably an inch as well. And the other thing I need to remember is if the finished slab size is going to be 1 inch, I need to mill it at like 1 1/8 or 1 1/4, so then it can be planed down to the desired thickness. And then this one, so this is kind of interesting. There's a knot in the board. I don't know if there's a knot or it just got wet, but this part of it is pretty straight and looks pretty good. And this one would be plain sawn again. And there's a little bit of like a buckle in this board farther down. But this one is also, we're also about 1 inch. So guys, I don't really know, You know, I don't really know how usable this lumber is. I mean, I think I've mentioned before, I'm not a woodworker. I just love the idea of you know, making some boards out of logs. I think it's cool. But there's a fellow one town over from me who's a pretty hardcore woodworker, and I offered him first dibs. So if you see anything in this pile that motivates you, that you want to pursue and think you can do something with, let me know, and you're more than welcome to the boards. All I ask is for a picture of what you build with it, just to prove that something can be done with this lumber. But then if that fella doesn't see anything, if there's any other woodworkers living locally that are inspired by something here, and I may have made kindling for all I know, I don't really know any better. I get the feeling I cut my wood a little bit too thin. From what I understand, if you're dealing with hardwood lumber, you usually want your dimensions to be over an inch, 1 inch, 2 inches. And if you're gonna use them for fine woodworking, you want to have like 1.25 inches, so then you can take it down to 1 inch after it dries and you smooth it out and get it to the right thickness. Let me just do this, guys. If there's anybody, you know, the fella one town over who knows who he is, if he sees anything that motivates him, let me know and we'll get you the wood. And then if anybody else who lives nearby sees wood that they can do something with, you know, all I ask is send me a picture of what you make of it so I can show people what became of this pile of wood. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Take care.